and I'm welcoming everyone. Here's a wonderful graphic from Hitchhiker's Guide. So let's just say, don't panic, we'll be okay. This session will be fine. Next slide, please. So our session title is Imagination in the Stars, Breaking with Traditions and Hitchhiking into the Future. And Mariano, Shehroze, and myself will introduce ourselves in a minute. I wanted to just do a bit of a land acknowledgement. As coming from Canada, we are very keen on acknowledging the land that we live and work on. Recognize that this is a global session, so we tend to do more service to this land acknowledgement. But as we are all gathered here today and our session is super tight, I will just say that we acknowledge the land upon which we reside and declare our collective responsibility to this place, its people's histories, rights, and presence. The Office of Teaching and Learning, which is where my colleagues and I are coming from, supports and adds to the collective voice to the calls of action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to never forget to hold our governments and colonial forces into account and seek redress for the healing and for injustice. So our next slide, please. We will introduce ourselves. Mariano, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sorry, I didn't realize I have muted myself. Hi there, my name is Mariano Urrutia. I'm currently studying marketing management at the University of Guelph. I have a minor in business data analytics, and I'm working as an educational resource assistant in the Office of Teaching and Learning. Thank you for coming here today. I'll pass it to Shehroze.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mariano. My name is Shehroze. As Mariano said, I am in the Educational Technology Developer at the Office of Teaching and Learning at the University of Guelph, where I am right now. And it's a beautiful, lovely, sunny day today. So thank goodness that at least in Canada, we're out of the kind of the darkness so far. And some of the things that I focus on in my capacity as an educational technology developer is working on all things educational technology, open learning, artificial intelligence in teaching and learning, and digital pedagogy. I do have a master's degree in information systems design, and hopefully we'll be starting a PhD in curriculum and pedagogy come the fall semester. With that, I'll pass it over to my colleague, Janet.
Thank you, Shehroze and Mariano. I'm Janet Wolstenholme. I'm an educational developer in the Office of Teaching and Learning. I have a varied background, but most of it is in art and sociology. And I try to put creativity into everything I do. It's the nature of the beast with me. So I love to do that kind of thing and play with slides and do all kinds of things creatively. I'm actually an encaustic artist, which is painting with wax, and I love that. I do hail from the UK and absolutely adore UK panel shows, so don't hold that against me. But when we started to look at what session we might look at, the Hitchhiker's Guide really kicked up some memories for me, and I found I have it on VHS. That doesn't say anything about me and my lack of going with the times, but I did buy it on Blu-ray. It's Douglas Adams is just amazing. Anyway, I'm going to screw up our timing if I keep bleating on. So the next slide, please, Shehroze. We're going to talk about here are learning outcomes. Hopefully we will experience some synchronous knowledge co-creation. I'm very excited about that. I think co-creation is an emerging trend, and it's just got so many possibilities. And to that end, hopefully we'll explore some educational possibilities that could happen in the future and discuss possible future or futures of education. And to stick in a reference to hitchhikers, maybe we will postulate where the 42 comes in. So that's our learning outcomes. Thank you, Rose. Okay, so our agenda, we have this slide deck is from Mariano. He's put together an amazing slide deck, and I think the graphics are brilliant. So we're going to start our agenda in Mars. We're going to explore the evolution of education. Then we're going to go to the Earth and talk about inclusivity, accessibility, and immersive sensory learning experiences. Then we'll go over to Venus and talk about the shaping of teaching and learning through an AI lens. And finally, in Mercury, we will talk about and hopefully co-create some of our creations through this session and combine our final thoughts together in a co-created document. So let's get started with Mars. And I believe I am passing the torch to
me. Thank you. Sorry, I always forget I mute myself. Education as a cornerstone has been a cornerstone of societal progress and has undergone a remarkable evolution over the years, navigating through dynamic technological shifts, pedagogical approaches, and societal expectations. As we step into the breakout room to explore the multifaceted journey of education, it becomes imperative to delve into the transformative forces that have propelled these changes. Technological advancements, ranging from the internet to the integration of artificial intelligence in classrooms, have redefined the learning landscape, challenging traditional notions of education. Simultaneously, the rise of online platforms, the globalization of information, and societal shifts have prompted a re-evaluation of educational goals and methodologies. Furthermore, there has also been a shift in education, moving away from rote memorization to critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Our discussion aims to discover the intricate threads of this evolution, contemplating the impact of the changes on learning environments and the overarching goals of education in a rapidly evolving world. Next slide, please. Okay. Now we will step into breakout rooms to explore the evolution of education and answer some questions regarding this.
So to do this, sorry, just gonna jump in here really quickly. What I will do now is we are now going to be putting a link in the chat for everyone here, as well as the questions you see on the screen. Don't worry, you don't have to copy these. We're gonna be jumping from room to room and also posting these questions for everyone there as well. But as Mariano mentioned, we will have the next 10 minutes in our breakout rooms to explore some of the questions here. And you might notice these aren't the simplest of questions. And I know we only have 10 minutes, but the goal here is just to do some brainstorming, get some ideas down, and then hopefully coming together as a larger group at the end to co-create kind of the future of education as we see it, based on what we can do in the next hour. What I will do before we go into breakout rooms is quickly I'll demonstrate how the activity will work. So let me go ahead and open up the Padlet board where we're going to be co-creating something. So you should see on the screen here, here's the Padlet where we're going to be tackling that first question that we talked about. So you'll see here, number 1, exploring the evolution of education. And the way to interact with this specific breakout room is what you can do if you've never used Padlet before, is simply click the plus button in the bottom here, and then you can add for example, a title. So I'll just say hello. And then you can also add multimedia if you wish. And then you can simply just insert text here, and I'll go ahead and click publish, and you'll see immediately my prompt has popped up here. For now, I'm going to go ahead and delete this just so we have a clear board to start. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen for a second and ask that the facilitators and the chairs of this session start the breakout rooms for everyone here. Perfect. Welcome back, everyone. I know I was just in a discussion in a breakout room with some amazing discussions. I apologize. We did have to cut it off because I know we do have a lot to get through today. So we're going to swiftly move along, introduce the next topic, and then you will have an opportunity to head back into your breakout rooms. One of the things that we'd like to quickly touch upon is the babblefish. So this is actually from the Hitchhiker's Guide. So the babblefish is a small, bright yellow fish which can be placed in someone's ear in order for them to be able to hear any language, and that's translated into their language. Which is something really interesting because when the Hitchhiker's Guide book was released, this is something that they could only have imagined. And right before our meeting, actually today, Mariano, myself, and Janet actually tried this out with my headphones. That's a feature in my Google Pixel Bud, so it's interesting to see where we've come today. That's just to say, and a good segue into our next topic about inclusivity, accessibility, and the immersive sensory learning experience. So in this ever-evolving landscape of higher education, a pressing concern for the need of inclusivity and accessibility is eminent. So as we navigate the realms of learning, the integration of immersive sensory learning experiences, so ISLE for short, emerges as a transformative avenue to address these very, very imperative issues. The approach seeks to break down barriers to create an educational environment that caters to diverse needs and learning styles. One way to do this and to increase accessibility and inclusivity might be to actually leverage technology. So leveraging immersive technologies such as VR, which is virtual reality, and augmented reality, AR, in higher education institutions could absolutely enhance inclusivity and provide students with a spectrum of sensory-rich experiences that transcend the traditional boundaries of what we kind of explored in the previous activity. Our discussion in our breakout rooms will kind of explore some of the potential of these sensory learning experiences in teaching and learning, and how kind of going on to the next category, how AI might facilitate the creation of these learning experiences of VR and AR. And one thing to add here is this is actually something that's happening today. So a good example is set by McMaster University in Ontario, Canada, which has been one of the first institutions to adopt such practices and establishes partnerships with a VR company to help engineering students have access to these virtual simulations and virtual laboratories. One thing to add is that AR and VR is not the only way that students can experience an immersive sensory learning experience. That can be as simple as sitting in a classroom, going outside, for example, doing an outdoor class, or even learning through music. Those are all examples of immersive sensory learning experiences. And that brings us, so that now that the introduction is out of the way, for the next 10 minutes, we are going to hop into breakout rooms once again. And you'll see the questions on the screen. Once again, you don't need to dive into these right now. I am going to go ahead and once again paste this into the chat for everyone. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So everyone should now have the instructions for the second breakout activity. So without further ado, because I know we are tight on time already, if the facilitators don't mind, we're going to go ahead and start the second round of breakout rooms. Awesome. Looks like we're all back. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and then we will continue. And I'll pass it over to Janet.
We've decided we don't really have time to go into breakout rooms for this, but we just wanted to touch on AI or shaping teaching and learning through an AI lens, particularly as a fair number of you are probably looking at that right now. So on the slide there, we've got that AI is transforming higher education, and it can benefit the students and instructors. You can use it for personalized learning, customizing content, and basing it on student performance. Virtual assistants, I think we're all using that in our own personal life now, and predictive text is all over the place. You can't really get rid of it. instructors are using AI now for grading and analyzing student trends. I actually did attend a session in the UK where some folks are actually using it to create questions. And some researchers said that students actually prefer the AI generated questions to actual instructor generated questions. So that is quite interesting. And it can also accelerate research through some automation. Next slide, please. Although it does also bring challenges like academic integrity and raises concerns about data privacy and ethical use, especially if we think about platforms like Turnitin, collecting a lot of student work or other work that could be copyrighted is also not that great with the data privacy. And it necessitates ongoing professional development for effective use. I certainly agree with that because as I'm getting older and all these things are getting faster and more complicated, I do feel out of the loop quite fast these days. Anyhow, we were going to go into a breakout room and discuss these things, but we will carry on. This was the slide, but we'll carry on and turn it over to Shehroze. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It would have been lovely to delve into that breakout room, unfortunately, given the time, because we do also want to co-create something. That is also one of our learning outcomes for today. So first of all, thank you so much to everyone for putting your thoughts into the Padlet boards. We're actually going to come together. All those responses have been recorded online, and they're now in a collective Padlet board where we will be able to come together and co-create as a group. So what we're going to be, and I'll go ahead and start sharing the different board we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and open this guy. So you should be seeing now our collective Padlet board here. So we have our different categories that we talked about. The first one, exploring the evolution of education, inclusivity, accessibility, the immersive sensory learning experience, as well as shaping AI, teaching and learning through an AI lens. And you'll see here, we've actually gone through and added a couple points here just for us to discuss and look at. But what if we can all spend the next little bit, the next 2 to 3 minutes, and select one post from each of these different columns here. And what you can do is simply drag and drop it into column number 4, the co-creation column, and then we can come back and discuss as a group. And what I want you to think about is the most relevant and important posts that you think were generated from this activity, and then inputting them into the co-creation column here. So go ahead and please do that. And we're going to come together in a little bit. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this quick little activity we have here. So the goal here, as we situated before as well, at the end of the day, was to co-create something. And hopefully from this activity, we have come together based on some quick discussions. So this is not something that's set in stone, but the goal here was to co-create essentially what teaching and learning might look like in the future and what we deem as the most important from all of the different posts we create here. This is not to say that all of these important posts weren't incredibly important, but let's just see what we've come together and deemed as the most imminent. So looking at column number 4 here, we have co-created a future and envisioned a teaching and learning environment where things took a lot more time in the past, and now in the future we see things being a lot more optimized and efficient. We also have ethical considerations, especially with AI in the mix, where's the ethical line being drawn, especially when AI is now a new player in all these classrooms. We have to ensure data privacy and security for student information. We have to, of course, consider policies and a heavier focus on neurodiversity and making learning more accessible, facilitate interactive learning experiences, and looks like we are also going to be offering more choice to students regarding the immersive sensory learning experiences, kind of going across the board and seeing what's out there. And I know in the discussions that we had, there were lots of different examples of different sensory learning experiences. Some potential impacts that we might see with immersive learning experience, which is interesting, because while this post right here kind of encourages immersive learning experiences, we also have to consider that this is not something that every institution or every student might have access to. So while it's a privilege to have this in the future, hopefully we can get it across the board, but that might not be a reality. And look in the last little bit here, encourage active participation through reminders and prompts. This is in regards to artificial intelligence. Offer personalized academic assistance also from the lens of AI. And lastly, for the future, institutions to invest into introducing, maintaining, and staff teaching on using immersive sensory learning. So we have created a very, very diverse learning experience here. And I'll pause here and give the floor back to Janet and Mariano for any thoughts they had about this, and also open the floor for the group to talk about anything they'd like to mention about any of the posts here, or anything, any critical gaps that might have been missing from today's conversation.
I don't think there's huge gaps other than things that we need to think about. As already mentioned, cost is about the UK probably, but definitely over here in Canada is creeping into everything that we do. Well, I'm sure it always has, but it seems to be worse now with governments not wanting to put money into education and asking crazy qualifying things we have to do now in order to get the money anyway. So ensuring some of these more enlightened kind of ways of learning, it seems to me to jar against the bean counters. Like education is not bums in seats. It's learning and deep learning. And I think the way that we're set up now is for the bean counters. And unless something changes drastically, I think some of these more enlightened ways of learning may not be able to happen. I mean, I love the sensory learning experiences, and that combined with AI and a lot of other things, I think can really be exciting and future thinking. And I will stop there and hand it on to whoever else wants to speak.
Yes. And feel free to just speak up.
I'll jump in. Go ahead, Beth. You go first.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, it's that sort of social dimension, which I don't think we sort of really covered in this board. That's maybe another column. How does education and society sort of changing in the future, and what actually is education for, and are we measuring the right things? You know, you're saying, you know, it's not about the number of people there, but what shows that education has been successful, and that obviously relates to what we think education is for.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brad. Christopher?
Yeah, thanks. A gap that just came to me when you said, what are the gaps? I think technology is wonderful. I think that it can make education more accessible, but the structure of education itself also has to organically consider, kind of piggybacking on what you're saying, Beth, not only the social, I think that's really crucial, but also the environmental, the sort of organic integration of your educational institution with the community around it. One of the things that my colleague Aaron, who's also in the room, and I have talked about in relation to bigger conversations at our institution is why restrict post-secondary education to the sort of the semesters that run from September through to April and May, when there's this whole lively summertime period that's underutilized at a lot of institutions. And I think that this, considering the technological as well as the organic, like considering those both together in relation to immersive education is really a fruitful area to explore more of, because I know it happens. There's experiential learning, but I think it could happen a lot more in the future.
Absolutely, 100%. Totally agree with everything that's being said. Once again, going to open the floor for one more minute in case anyone has some final thoughts in regards to this. Yes, please take it away.
Yeah, I guess in our group we talked a little bit about cost as well, and the use of technology, and whether it's AI or actual physical pieces of technology, obviously also sort of creates inequalities between institutions and between countries that it is a cost expenditure that some institutions can easily carry and others can't.
Absolutely, 100% agree, and that is a major, major gap that we see today as well. Previously, I studied in one of my courses where something to consider when designing anything is, for example, even the amount of images that you're using, or the size of the images. Because while we are lucky enough to have stable internet connections, people with not stable internet connections might not even be able to have the same experience on a simple web page, just because there's an image that's taking a long time to load. So if that's happening today, imagine the differences that will emerge when things like immersive education and the immersion room, which I think is really, really cool, become a norm in the Western world. So it's very, very exciting things to think about. But I will have to cut off our discussion there. So I'm going to go ahead back to our presentation and pass it back now to Mariano to talk about some concluding thoughts of today.
Of course, thank you so much, Rose. Well, in conclusion, the evolution of education fueled by technological advancements and the innovative approaches unfolds a dynamic journey marked by both challenges and transformative opportunities. From personalized learning platforms to AI-driven virtual assistants like ChatGPT and the integration of immersive sensory experiences, higher education is experiencing a profound shift toward inclusivity, accessibility, and student-centered learning. As we contemplate the future, the synergy of these advancements promises to reshape not only knowledge, how knowledge is imparted, but also the very essence of the learning environment. Thoughtful consideration of ethical implications, continuous professional development, and a commitment to addressing diverse needs is essential for harnessing the full potential of these educational innovations. The discourse of the future of education stands at the intersection of technological progress and the timeless pursuit of fostering an inclusive, engaging, and enriching learning experience for everyone. Thank you so much for coming here today.